parte il fatto che stai a pochi metri.
Ci conosciamo io e te, no?
Grazie.
Va bene. La prossima settimana! E ricomponete, ma che sta cazzo? Andiamo!
Tranquillo, apposta.
Just the other things that are not your concern.
Allergic to bad things. Whatever it is.
Italy. The sun-drenched beauty of Altamonte masks a sinister threat. Retired government assassin Robert McCall, seeking solace, finds himself drawn into a new fight for justice. When the local mafia, the Camorra, begins terrorizing his newfound friends, McCall must once again unleash his brutal skills to protect the innocent and reclaim the peaceful life he so desperately seeks.
Le pacche sul retro del furgone.
Scoprirà che non sono stati la Camorra e quello di capo della polizia. Sì! Dove faccio portare? Taglia capo, lasciami discreto nipoti.
By who?
We don't know. Excuse me.
Let me call you back in a minute.
Aiutate! Cowards.
Frank, oh, we're not looking for terrorists.
Farò del mio meglio. I got this.
Vi ricompenserò! Ammazzato con le vostre strade! Compenserò! Riesce perché cazzo si affrontano! Roberto!
I killed your brother. Here I am. You're not gonna take away from them, so.
On these cobblestones.
It's your choice.
Ora spara pure a me!
Dobbiamo andare, ci stanno registrando.
What a beautiful moment!
I'll be waiting for
See you soon. I'll see you very... Che cazzo? Ma non c'è nessuno.
Vado!
My man. You like a dog.
Wait, what? So, for me.
Hey guys, today we're diving deep into the final chapter of Denzel Washington's thrilling run as Robert McCall with an entire movie recap of the Equalizer 3. We're going to break down every bone-crunching moment, every quiet contemplation, and every instance where you just know someone is about to have a very, very bad day. From sun-drenched Sicilian vineyards to the charming winding streets of Altamonte, we'll cover it all, with a focus on all the strategic takedowns and the sheer brutal efficiency that makes McCall such a legend. This is a passion project for me, and a like or a subscribe is the best way to show your support. So if you're on board, join the crew. If not, thanks for watching anyway. Our story opens with a scene that immediately re-establishes everything we know and love about Robert McCall. We're in a sprawling Sicilian villa, and the air practically hums with the aftermath of violence. It's dark, moody, and absolutely dripping with tension. Bodies are strewn about, and McCall, looking weary but utterly focused, is making his way through the opulent, blood-splattered rooms. The silence is punctuated only by the distant sounds of the Italian countryside and the soft scuff of McCall's boots. He's there to retrieve something, or rather, someone has something he wants back. A man named Lorenzo Vitale, looking very much like he just stumbled out of a bad day at the office, finds himself face to face with McCall. The exchange is curt, sharp, and laden with the unspoken threat of extreme prejudice. Vitale, a smarmy fellow with a perpetually surprised expression, is cornered. McCall wants a ledger, a very specific accounting of very bad deeds, and he's not asking twice. Vitale, naturally, resists. He thinks he has the upper hand, because, well, that's what villains always think, isn't it? This particular collection of unfortunate souls around Vitale learn very quickly that they've miscalculated. McCall, even wounded, is a force of nature. He starts his internal timer, that signature ticking in his mind, and then it's on. The sounds are sharp, impactful, the crack of a punch, the muted thud of a body hitting the marble floor, the sharp intake of breath as an arm is twisted in a truly unnatural way. He moves with a predatory grace, turning everyday objects into instruments of swift justice. A wine buffle becomes a blunt weapon, a corkscrew becomes a, well, you get the picture. It's a beautifully choreographed ballet of pain and precision. Each move is economical, brutal, and effective. You hear the dull impact of bone against furniture, the choked gasps of Vitale's men. It's not about flashy moves, it's about absolute lethality. He takes them apart one by one, each encounter a short, sharp burst of violence. The sequence feels less like a fight and more like a carefully executed demolition. Vitale, witnessing the decimation of his crew, tries to bargain, to beg. But McCall isn't interested in pleas. He's interested in justice, and right now, justice looks like retrieving that ledger. In a moment that's designed to make your jaw drop, McCall, after dispatching everyone in the villa, is shot in the back by a surprisingly resilient young kid, Vitale's grandson, who is hiding and saw the whole thing. The kid pulls the trigger, a shocking bang echoing through the silent villa, and McCall crumples. It's a gut punch, both literally and figuratively. You hear the sickening thud as he hits the ground, a sharp gasp escaping him. Despite the wound, he manages to drag himself to his car, the engine groaning to life, and drives away, leaving a trail of blood and destruction in his wake. His internal monologue, usually so controlled, becomes a strained whisper as he fights to stay conscious. The drive is a blurred montage of pain and fading light, until finally he collapses, bleeding out on a quiet roadside in an unfamiliar Italian town.
Cut to the quaint, sun-drenched coastal town of Altamonte. It's picturesque, charming, exactly the kind of place you'd imagine someone would go to disappear and heal. And that's exactly where McCall wakes up, in a small, cozy room, his wound bandaged. He's been found and taken in by a kind older doctor named Enzo. Enzo, a gentle soul with a weathered face and an even more weathered scooter, becomes McCall's reluctant guardian angel. He speaks in hushed tones, his Italian words a soothing balm, even if McCall doesn't always understand them. The sounds of Altamonte are a stark contrast to the violence of the opening scene. Distant church bells, the gentle lapping of waves, the murmur of local conversations, the clatter of plates from a nearby cafe. McCall, everyday observer, slowly begins to absorb his surroundings as he recovers. He's stiff, the wound still throbbing, but his senses are as sharp as ever. He watches the townspeople, their routines, their interactions. He sees the genuine warmth and community spirit. There's Amina, the kind waitress at the local cafe who brings him his coffee and pastries, her smile genuine. There's Gio, the local fishmonger, a boisterous and friendly man with a booming laugh and a passion for fresh seafood. He sees the children playing in the piazza, their joyful shouts echoing off ancient stone walls. It's a balm to his soul, a stark contrast to the brutal life he's always known. He begins to find a semblance of peace, a quiet rhythm that he hasn't experienced in years. He's still Denzel Washington, so even when he's just sitting there drinking coffee, there's an intensity to him, a coiled stillness, but there's also a hint of something else, contentment. It's almost unsettling seeing McCall so serene. For a guy who usually spends his weekends rearranging internal organs, this is quite the sabbatical. He even forms a genuine connection with Enzo, the good doctor who saved him. Enzo, seeing the quiet pain and wisdom in McCall's eyes, offers not just medical aid, but friendship and a safe harbor. It's during this recovery that McCall, using his vast network, makes a discreet call to Emma Collins, a CIA operative we met briefly in the previous films. He gives her a tip, a piece of information about Lorenzo Vitali's ledger, a loose thread that could unravel a much larger, more sinister web. The call is brief, cryptic, and utterly professional, a reminder of the other life he's trying to leave behind, but one that always seems to tug him back. The scratchy sound of the phone, the hushed tones, the technical jargon, it's a peek back into his world of shadows. Collins, intrigued by the unexpected lead, begins her own investigation, unaware of the full scope of McCall's involvement or his current idyllic, albeit temporary, retirement plan.
But as with any peaceful retreat, trouble inevitably finds a way to crash the party. Altamonte, for all its beauty, has a darkness lurking beneath its surface. The local mafia, the Camorra, led by the ruthless and impeccably dressed Vincent Quaranta, sees the town as ripe for exploitation. Our first taste of their cruelty comes with Marco, a lower-level thug, and his crew, shaking down Gio, the fishmonger. You hear the harsh, guttural Italian, the sneering laughter, the clatter of coins being roughly taken. Gio, usually so jovial, is reduced to a fearful silence, his shoulders hunched. McCall observes this from a distance, the wheels already turning in his mind. He tries to intervene subtly at first, a polite word, a quiet presence, but subtlety isn't really in the Camorra's vocabulary. Later, Amina's small, charming shop is attacked. The sounds are sudden and jarring, the crash of pottery, the splintering of wood, Amina's cry of fear. It's a direct assault on the very innocence and peace McCall has come to cherish. This is where McCall's internal timer really kicks back in. He can practically hear the clock ticking down to zero on these guys' lives. He confronts Marco directly, not with violence yet, but with a warning. His voice is a low rumble, the words precise and chilling. Marco predictably scoffs. He has no idea who he's dealing with. It's like a chihuahua barking at a grizzly bear, utterly unaware of the imminent mauling. McCall, in his quiet way, delivers a message to the boss, Vincent Quaranta, effectively telling him to back off. It's a tense, almost silent encounter, McCall's eyes burning with an unspoken promise. Quaranta, slick and sophisticated, dismisses McCall as an old man, a nuisance. Oh, Vincent, honey, you've made a terrible mistake. It's a classic villain move, underestimating the quiet hero, and we all know how that ends.
The Camorra, arrogant and unchecked, naturally escalates their reign of terror. They don't just back off, they double down. Gio, the kind fishmonger, becomes a target. His car is rigged with an explosive device. The detonation is sudden, deafening, a roar that rips through the quiet town. You hear the shattering glass, the screams of bystanders, the sickening crunch of metal. It's a brutal, public statement designed to instill fear. Thankfully, Gio survives, albeit shaken and injured, but the message is clear. Defy them, and you suffer. The attack leaves a pall over Altamonte, a dark cloud that smothers the vibrant spirit McCall had come to love. Then, Dr. Enzo's home is attacked. It's more subtle, more menacing. Break-ins, intimidation, the sound of shattered windows in the dead of night. The peaceful sanctuary that saved McCall's life is now under siege. These attacks solidify something within McCall. The quiet life, the hope for peace, it's all threatened. He realizes that he can't ignore it, that he has to act. The line between observer and participant is irrevocably crossed. You see the subtle shift in his demeanor, the hardening in his eyes, the almost imperceptible tensing of his muscles. The old McCall, the one who evens the odds, is back. Meanwhile, Emma Collins is hard at work. Her investigation into Vitali's ledger starts to uncover a massive network of international crime. She connects the dots, the Camorra, drug trafficking, and shockingly, ties to global terrorism. The scale of the conspiracy is staggering. She's chasing a paper trail of money laundering and illicit activities, tracing the flow of funds across borders. You hear the rapid click of keyboard keys, the hushed phone conversations, the constant low hum of computers in a secure facility. The danger isn't just local, it's a global threat, and the Altamonte Camorra is just one ugly head of a much larger hydra. Collins's parallel journey provides the larger context for McCall's personal crusade, showing that his fight for a small town is unwittingly connected to saving something much bigger. She's piecing together the financial puzzle, seeing the bigger picture, while McCall is preparing to dismantle the local operations, piece by agonizing piece.
McCall, now fully committed, begins his meticulous retaliation. This isn't just about anger, it's about precision, strategy, and sending an unforgettable message. He reverts to his old methods, becoming a ghost in the night, gathering intel, observing, planning. He moves through the darkened streets of Altamonte like a shadow, his presence unnoticed by the very men he's hunting. He identifies the key players, their routines, their weaknesses. He watches, listens, absorbs every detail. The atmosphere shifts from quiet charm to tense anticipation. He targets Marco and his crew first, the men who dared to threaten his friends. The restaurant scene is a masterclass in controlled chaos. McCall enters, calm and collected, but with an unspoken promise of doom. The sounds are deliberate, the clinking of silverware, the murmur of diners, all suddenly punctuated by the sharp crack of breaking bones. He isolates them one by one, ensuring minimum collateral damage but maximum impact on his targets. It's not a brawl, it's an execution. He disarms them, turning their own weapons against them, or using improvised tools. A fish fillet knife becomes a horrifyingly effective instrument, a bottle of olive oil, a slippery weapon. You hear the sickening squelch of bodies hitting hard surfaces, the choked whimpers of men who suddenly realize their swagger means absolutely nothing. He interrogates Marco, his voice low and guttural, demanding information about Vincent Quaranta and his operations. The scene is tense, suffocating, as McCall applies just enough pressure to break Marco, without actually breaking him beyond use. He extracts the details, the locations, the names, the network. It's chillingly efficient. Then, with the information gathered, McCall starts setting his traps. He strategically places homemade explosive devices, not for immediate widespread destruction, but as psychological warfare, as a way to control and manipulate the flow of Quaranta's men. You hear the careful click of wires, the soft thud of devices being placed in strategic locations, often in plain sight, but undetected by the arrogant thugs. He's sending a message, a declaration of war, but on his terms. The Camorra starts to feel his presence, the fear spreading through their ranks like a virus. It's like watching a spider slowly, methodically weaving its web around unsuspecting flies. And McCall is the spider. He's not just a man anymore, he's a force, a legend brought to life to dismantle injustice, one bone-crunching, precision-timed action at a time. The jokes stop here for a bit, because McCall is all business, and business is about to get very, very ugly for the bad guys.
The climax builds to the inevitable confrontation with Vincent Quaranta himself. It begins at Quaranta's opulent vineyard, a place that embodies his ill-gotten wealth and his complete detachment from the common people he terrorizes. Quaranta, still smug and arrogant, believing himself untouchable, arrives with his top lieutenants. The setting is beautiful, almost serene, which makes the impending violence even more jarring. McCall is already there, a silent sentinel, watching. He has meticulously planned this, using the environment to his advantage. The sounds here are important: the rustle of leaves in the vineyard, the distant chirping of cicadas, the almost imperceptible shift of air as McCall moves into position. Quaranta, full of bluster and threats, tries to assert dominance, unaware that he's walking into his own grave. It's a classic villain monologue moment, delivered with all the usual self-importance. McCall lets him talk, observing, waiting for the precise moment. The trap is sprung. McCall's pre-planted bombs begin to detonate, not in massive Hollywood-style explosions, but in controlled, precise bursts that cut off escape routes, disorient the guards, and create confusion. You hear the sharp thump of an explosion, followed by a shower of debris, a sudden flash of light, and then the screams of surprised, injured men. It's chaos, but a carefully managed chaos. The lights flicker, the power goes out, plunging parts of the vineyard into darkness, which is exactly where McCall thrives. He moves through the shadows, a phantom of justice. The takedown of Vincent and his top lieutenants is brutal and unflinching. Each henchman is met with a swift, merciless end. The thwack of a head hitting concrete, the sharp crack of a neck, the gurgle of a silent struggle. He uses the environment to his advantage, turning the vineyard's own implements into weapons. A pruning shear becomes a stabbing tool, a vine trellis a leverage point for a bone-shattering fall. He's efficient, cold, and utterly terrifying. These are not protracted fight scenes. They are sudden, decisive acts of violence, each one ending with a body dropping to the ground with a sickening thud. He employs psychological warfare, letting Quaranta see his men fall one by one, never quite seeing McCall himself, only the terrifying results of his actions. It's like a horror movie for the bad guys, where the monster is a quietly furious, perfectly precise Denzel Washington. Quaranta is left alone, terrified, stripped of his power and his protection. McCall finally reveals himself, emerging from the shadows. The confrontation is tense, silent, as Quaranta fully comprehends the sheer depth of his mistake. McCall, ever the clockmaster, times Quaranta's last moments with his internal stopwatch, then delivers a swift, utterly decisive end. The specific method is gruesome, involving Quaranta's own drug stash, a truly poetic and awful form of justice.
The final silence in the vineyard is deafening, punctuated only by the distant wail of a police siren, a sound that signals not capture, but cleanup. The mess is over. The Equalizer has balanced the scales. And honestly, for a moment there, I thought McCall was going to offer Quaranta a warm cup of herbal tea and a self-help book. But alas, some problems require a more hands-on solution. With the Camorra's reign of terror brought to a definitive, rather bloody end, Altamonte breathes a collective sigh of relief. The cloud that hung over the town dissipates, replaced by the familiar warmth of the Italian sun and the renewed smiles of its people. The sounds of everyday life return, vibrant and hopeful. Children's laughter echoing through the piazza, the cheerful chatter of friends at the cafe, the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. McCall, ever the silent guardian, watches these moments unfold from a distance, a small, almost imperceptible nod of satisfaction gracing his features. He's done his job. The town is safe, truly safe, and in a way, he has found a home, a place where he can finally begin to heal his own deep-seated wounds. He accepts a quiet invitation to join the townspeople for a meal, a rare moment of genuine connection and belonging for a man who has lived so long in the shadows. The clinking of glasses, the shared laughter, the aroma of good food, it's all a symphony of peace he rarely experiences. Meanwhile, Emma Collins, back in the clinical hum of her office, wraps up her investigation. The intelligence provided by McCall, combined with her own relentless detective work, leads to the dismantling of a much larger international terrorist plot. The financial trails, the drug routes, the illicit connections, all are exposed and neutralized. The information from Vitali's ledger proves to be the key, unraveling a dangerous web that stretched far beyond Altamonte. Collins, realizing the full scope of McCall's anonymous assistance, now has a clearer, if still incomplete, picture of the mysterious man who always seems to appear exactly when he's needed most. She even visits Altamonte, subtly searching for the man who sent her the tip, almost catching a glimpse of him, recognizing his unmistakable presence even if they don't directly interact. She sees the peace in the town, a quiet testament to his work. The film ends with McCall and Altamonte, fully integrated into the community, finding a genuine sense of belonging and peace. He's no longer just a ghost. He's part of the fabric of this beautiful, resilient town. He plays checkers with Enzo, laughs with Amina, shares stories with Gio. The quiet rhythm of Altamonte becomes his rhythm. He finally sits down at the cafe, a simple espresso in hand, a serene expression on his face. The battle is over, and for now, the Equalizer has found his own kind of peace, a quiet corner of the world where he can simply exist, perhaps for the first time in a very long time.
This journey with Robert McCall, from the brutal precision of his initial mission to the quiet, almost domestic peace he finds in Altamonte, reflects a profound human yearning for belonging and justice. It reminds us that even those with the most violent pasts can find solace and purpose in protecting the innocent, in defending the light against the encroaching darkness. His actions, though often extreme, are always rooted in a deep moral compass, a desire to set things right when the world has gone utterly wrong. It's a powerful testament to the idea that true strength lies not just in the ability to fight, but in the courage to choose peace, even after all the battles are won. The Equalizer 3 beautifully wraps up Robert McCall's story, delivering the signature brutal action we expect while grounding it in a surprising emotional depth. Denzel Washington, as always, commands the screen, making every quiet moment as impactful as every bone-shattering one. It's a satisfying conclusion, leaving you wondering if a man like McCall can ever truly retire, or if justice will always find him.